Hunters are done. On Rokslide, the forum where serious backcountry hunters share honest gear experiences, one thread has been running for over a year with the same message over and over again. Something is seriously wrong with hunting gear, and hunters are fed up. Here's what they are actually saying and why it matters. The prices are going up, the quality is going down, and the people making the decisions are no longer hunters. That last part is the one the industry does not want to talk about. One forum member who has spent the last 10 years building a technical hunting gear company from the inside described it directly on Rokslide in 2025. In the early days, the big names in technical hunting apparel were built by hunters for hunters. They were focused, scrappy, and obsessed with the details, fabric performance, minimalist weight, and true mountain-tested functionality. They cared deeply about the consumer because they were the consumer. Today, things feel different. All of the big technical hunting apparel brands have grown and sold to private equity or large corporations. The motivation is no longer long-term customer value, it is short-term profit maximization. Instead of focusing on making innovative Western hunting products, the focus is on what will sell the most. And the people who started these brands, who knew the core consumer because they were the core consumer, are no longer in charge. That is not a disgruntled customer talking. That is someone inside the industry watching it happen in real time and saying publicly what most hunters already feel but cannot fully explain. Let's start with the prices. In 2025, hunters on Rokslide and Archery Talk began discussing whether sitka prices would rise due to tariffs on goods manufactured in Vietnam, where Sitka produces much of its gear. The conversation revealed something that many hunters had not fully processed. The premium they pay for Sitka gear is going to a product made in Vietnam, not in the United States. One Rokslide member pointed out that if Sitka had a more streamlined product line and spent less money on sponsored hunts and giveaways, they would not need to pass costs on to consumers. A Sitka jacket now costs more than most hunting rifles. One Rokslide hunter made the comparison directly. You are paying more for a jacket than for a rifle. The rifle will be used by several generations of hunters. The waterproof, breathable jacket is good for a couple of seasons. Now let's talk about where the gear is actually made, because this is the part that makes the price frustration even harder to stomach. One hunter on Rokslide described not wanting to spend $300 on pants made in China when he knows those pants cost $3 to make. He said he would happily pay $300 for American-made clothing with real quality and real customer support. But that is not what most of the market is offering. Another hunter said he cannot fathom the prices for gear made in China, Vietnam, and Central America, and that by continuing to buy it, hunters are encouraging companies to keep doing it. A third hunter with over 50 years of hunting experience described how the technical clothing market emerged over the last 20 years, how he became a believer after trying pieces on sale, and how he now never pays full retail, picking everything up at 40 to 50% off through sales, closeouts, and eBay. That is the only way the economics make sense. A separate Rokslide thread active since 2024 captured another layer of frustration. Hunters who had spent years accumulating kuiu, sitka, First Light, and Stone Glacier gear described being sick of the high prices, especially knowing that most of it is made overseas in the same factories producing budget brands. One described himself as just over the price gouging. The gear, despite being marketed as technical and field proven, is described repeatedly as good for a couple of seasons before the waterproofing fails, the seams go, or the zippers give out. One hunter said he is done buying new and will only buy secondhand. Another said, shop the sales and closeouts, never pay full retail for any of it. This is the core of what hunters are fed up about. It is not just that prices are high, it is that prices are high for gear made in the same overseas factories as budget brands, with the same materials, the same labor, The same quality control sold to hunters on the strength of a logo built years ago when the company actually cared about what went into the product. Check out our other videos on the channel. We have broken down which specific brands are doing this and which ones are still worth your money. Thousands of hunters have already watched them. Now, here is what makes this problem worse. The brands that hunters trusted most have been sold the most times. Kuiu was founded by Jason Hairston specifically because he could not find gear he trusted. He built the brand on direct-to-consumer pricing and radical transparency. At one point, he found better pricing on materials and actually passed the savings on to customers, lowering prices rather than pocketing the margin. One Rokslide member who has worn kuiu gear for years described that moment as something that never happens in this industry. Hairston passed away in 2018. Kuiu had already taken private equity investment from Main Post Partners in 2017, and in December 2025 was sold again to a new investor group, including Cox Enterprises. On Archery Talk, hunters reacted to the December 2025 sale with skepticism. One member described how Kuiu under Hairston had been laser-focused on lightweight mountain hunting clothing and said the brand had already drifted to serve whitetail, waterfowl, and lifestyle markets well before the latest sale. He said he was done with kuiu. Another member on the same thread noted that being acquired by private equity has never meant a good thing for product quality or customers. A third said he doubts this is what Jason had in mind. First Light was founded by Kenton Carruth in 2007 with the same hunter-first mentality. When it was sold to Meat Eater on June 18, 2019, longtime customers watched closely. The quality declined fast enough that experienced hunters noticed within seasons. One Rokslide hunter described the new products as looking and feeling like Walmart hunting pants with First Light camo printed on them. No technology, no real performance difference from cheap gear. Another hunter abandoned the brand permanently after being unable to find consistent sizing across 3 tops in 3 different sizes, from medium to extra large. The pattern repeats across the industry. A hunter starts a brand, the brand grows because it makes good gear that other hunters actually trust. The brand gets acquired because private equity sees the loyal customer base as an asset worth buying. Costs get cut. The product changes. The logo stays the same. And the hunters who built the brand's reputation through years of word-of-mouth recommendations end up on forums describing how they got burned. One of the most telling comments in the entire Rokslide thread came from a hunter who said he personally finds himself wearing solid colors almost always now. The camo fads are just wasted money. Solids have killed animals for decades. His point was not really about camo. His point was that the hunting gear industry has drifted so far from what actually matters in the field that he has started ignoring most of it entirely. He is buying military surplus. He is shopping secondhand. He is wearing non-hunting outdoor brands that cost less and hold up just as well in the mountains. Another longtime Rokslide member who described building his entire gear system from kuiu, sitka, First Light, and Stone Glacier over years said he is now just sick of the high prices. He knows the gear is made overseas, he knows the margins are extraordinary, and he knows that if he wants to replace a piece that got torn up in the field, it is going to cost him as much as it cost him the first time for a product that is not as good as the product he originally bought. A third hunter put it in a way that cuts to the heart of the problem. Clothing pieces have become so niche and narrow-focused, it seems like the companies are making gear for every possible hunting application: duck, turkey, deer, elk, upland, instead of making great versatile gear for actual hunters. The proliferation of SKUs, driven by investor-owned companies trying to capture every possible market segment, has produced a market full of options that do not actually solve any hunter's real problems better than the simpler lineups from 10 years ago. The hunters who have been in the backcountry the longest, The ones on Rokslide who have owned every major brand and tested them in real conditions across multiple seasons are the most frustrated, and they are the most vocal because they remember what this gear used to be. They remember when the person answering the phone at the company was the same person who designed the product. They remember when price increases came with actual improvements, and they can see the difference between that and what the market is offering them now. Something is seriously wrong with hunting gear. The hunters who care most about it are fed up, and the brands responsible are banking on the fact that new hunters who never knew what this gear used to be will keep buying based on the logo alone. Now you know what the experienced hunters already figured out. Subscribe for more honest hunting breakdowns. Drop a comment which hunting gear brand has made you fed up the most. Thanks for watching.